Travel isn't just about destinations, it's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place. Whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, in our travel segment today, we want to put the focus on a tour operator based in the heart of Khayelitsha and to talk about how to balance meaningful cultural exchange and authentic experiences for visitors without it becoming exploitative to the peoples whose lives you are effectively intruding into, I guess you could say. The idea of township tourism is not a new one by any means, but the guest who's with me today has been doing this a long time. His business called ABCD Travel has been going for more than a decade already and provides both local and international visitors with an experience of Cape Town that is quite different from the usual wine tasting, going up the mountain, perhaps staying in a high-end hotel and the like. It is a huge pleasure to have with us in studio today Buntu Matole, who is the co-founder of ABCD Travel. And Buntu, thanks for popping through to CapeTalk. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Before we talk about your travel business, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background before you got into travel.
So my name is Buntu Matole. From Khayelitsha, originally born in Johannesburg, grew up in Khayelitsha, studied the whole of my life in Khayelitsha, both primary and high school. But of course, throughout my journey, I think at around about 2004, there was a contest of World Cup coming to South Africa around about that time. So that's where tourism became a dream. But unfortunately, I was unable to pursue it back in 2007 when I had completed my matric, which is the following year. Like any other ordinary South African, I got in to find an alternative. I went to a job and then I worked for more than 7 years, where I kind of quitted my job and went back to school and study, which is I studied entrepreneurship. Okay. And then after the entrepreneurship, of course, it was a 6-month program from the Raymond Academy of Entrepreneurial Development, right across this building, right in the beautiful waterfront at the GSB Graduate School of Business, which where I enrolled. And fortunately enough, that program was a success. I then took up on myself the following year to then pursue the dream of being an entrepreneur, and had hunted in 2016, just a year after I had started the program in Khayelitsha with my business partner Ayanda. And of course, tourism was revived as a dream into a reality where we first hosted our first ever experience called Running Experience in Khayelitsha.
And from there, it's grown and grown. Is Ayanda still your partner to this day, Buntu?
Ayanda is still there. Ayanda is still there.
So you took the concept, you took the learnings from what you had gleaned at the entrepreneurship course at the Graduate School of Business, and you launched. Now, it's easier said than done, though. You don't just launch a business and fly, or very few people get it right that way. Talk to us about the evolution of this business.
I mean, it started from a passion project of sports. Of course, in my upbringing, I was much more deeply rooted within sporting activities. So in 2015, basically, we started our first original concept called Sporting Code, which is a sports for developmental program that tried to create a structured system for township sports. And of course, as beneficiaries of those activities in the township, we saw some of the challenges that we have faced on our upbringing. And that was the culture that we tried to revive and, of course, to bring solutions to some of the challenges that are faced in the sporting activity. And of course, by the time we recognized the work that we were doing, we had about 22 events that we have done. And Airbnb came to our doorstep and had hunted us. And we were perfect to be hosts for the neighborhood of the Khayelitsha. And of course, starting with one experience and also knowing the numbers that Airbnb had at the time, for us, it was just getting a percentage out of those numbers that they had in order to sustain what we were doing in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, that becomes a reality when you're visioning it. But when you're doing it, it takes longer. So from one experience, we had to diversify our product offering in order to accommodate some of the tourist needs that would like to find themselves in a Khayelitsha, but not through running. So that's when we then started introducing other products like your cycling experiences, to your partying experiences in a Khayelitsha, to now cooking with local families, and educational, teaching people isiXhosa. Those are some of the itinerary lists that we have currently, but there's many others.
So I love it. So if you are sporty, you can go and join a running club and run in Khayelitsha. If you're more of a foodie, you go and learn to cook a traditional meal. What percentage of your uptake is international visitors, and what percentage would you say is local?
I would say our business has been mostly overwhelmed by internationals because of the cultural differences that they have an interest in. And of course, in a Khayelitsha, there are all of those cultural experiences that one can immerse themselves in. So currently, we have about 98% of our clientele being internationals.
Wow.
And this was the stats before even COVID-19. And post-COVID-19, we thought like we're going to at least leave out of like the domestic market. But unfortunately it's still not appealing to locals, which is we are trying so hard to bring South Africans to neighborhoods like Khayelitsha and many other townships around South Africa.
I mean, it just strikes me that this is a golden opportunity for South Africans to learn more about each other and connect across divides that have been there for decades. That this is such a good way to do it. So I'm really hoping that people listening to this are going to think about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the challenges of selling township tourism to somebody who's never been into a township. You face two immediate fears you've got to overcome. People fear around safety, and people fear around exploitation, that this is going to be poverty porn, as I've heard it described by some people, that they feel uncomfortable coming into somebody's life and intruding into their life in this way. Should we start there? Would you like to speak to that issue?
For
We'll
sure.
get back to the safety one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Us growing up in a township, we've always seen buses coming in, of course, of people just taking pictures out of the buses. And that is very offensive to the locals because there's a question that's always been, that arises within locals, like, why are they taking pictures? Where are those pictures going? And the question is never answered because we all don't know, or we all did not know. But fast forward when we got into the industry, with us having that experience of how tourism has always been done previously, and of course with an introduction of experiences where now I no longer become just a tour guide, but I become your host. So meaning when I'm hosting you, I'm not necessarily guided by the laws or the policies of what I need to be doing, but I just get to flow. I just get to host you as a friend, but I also get to host you as a new friend that will about to make relationships or start a relationship. So over the years, we've found it like it's better to involve locals when you're doing something within the neighborhood. Also that within our previous guests at the beginning, they never really wanted to feel like outsiders, but they wanted to be part of the community of Khayelitsha. Hence why we're able to create experiences that are unique and designed purely based on the popularity of them within the neighborhood. So every experience that we have created, it's not something that was never there in Khayelitsha before. It's something that has always been done by locals, but it was an imagination of how do we make someone from outside feel like a local and experience life like a local in Khayelitsha. So that's purely how we design our experiences in order to remove all these barriers that people would feel like they're being exploited or they're being used for particular images that they're being taken off. So we've created experiences than creating tours, and experiences are designed purely to make you aware of the situation that are in the neighborhood, but also take you through like a local, not as a tourist.
And of course, coming into the neighborhood, immersing yourself in somebody else's life and home and space there, the spend gets spread around.
For sure.
Other neighborhood businesses benefit.
Sure.
If you're doing a cooking course, those ingredients are bought somewhere, etc. The sort of the knock-on impact is so much bigger than the tour guys driving in and taking a photograph and leaving with no sense of connection. Buntu, what about the safety aspect? Because I know that I would imagine, okay, let me not say no, but I would imagine that one of the reasons that more locals don't come is that they've been told this is a scary place that you shouldn't go into.
I think it's the fear of the unknown, but also with with media, of course, showing or telling the stories that happens or that have happened in the past, I think that raises a lot of fears from within people, from local. But for us, having started in 2015, purely deep-rooted in the community with community sports, that has helped us to establish ourselves as the ground people. So because of us being the ground people and working with communities, it has helped us to kind of like create a space that is conducive and that is free and friendly for people to come and immerse themselves. So there's a couple of projects that we've done over the last decade. Besides the sports, if we're talking about COVID-19, there was a share mask campaign that we drove around Khayelitsha, donating masks to elderly people and to school kids that were not able to enter school premises without their mask. You look at that time, people lost jobs. We even did a food drive where we donated about 500 food parcels to some of the households that, of course, that were participants in these tournaments that we're doing when we started. You look into last week, Friday or Thursday last week, before the Easter break, we did a game drive of T-shirts into the community. So these are some of the, of course, once-off activities, but through the consistency of our work, we are able to reach and stretch the rand to so many other households that, of course, that either would be assisting us or that would be offering a service. So within all of those things that we have been able to achieve and do for the community, we are protected because of the work that people know what tourism does for them. Because it's not like I'm just walking with people or we're walking or running with people in the neighborhood and then there's nothing that comes after. But people now are more likely to be ready in their homes and waiting for us after these tours because they know that there could be something that has been left behind by our previous guests. So safety to us is something that we take highly. And of course, as a business, we can't operate without having public liabilities and insurance policies in order to make sure that our clients are safe. And lastly, it does not go, ABCD does not only work alone as a silo, but there are other industry organizations that we have affiliated with to kind of alleviate such pressure that will be placed on us. Then we have the voices behind us that speaks on our behalf, but also that we are proud to be members of.
Buntu, I hope that off the back of this interview, you're going to get some more Cape Townians booking to come and either have a Khayelitsha party experience or come cycling or running or go and do a cooking course in Khayelitsha. Final question before we say goodbye is if somebody would like to book an experience with you, how do they do that?
So we have multiple ways that we have been able to create convenience for our people or people that are wanting to book our experiences. Firstly, it will be landing into the ABCD website. We have a booking platform. The website is www.abcd-concepts.co.za. It will take you through. There is a booking button there. Of course, we affiliate with the biggest events company in Cape Town. Web Ticket, you can easily get our booking there. Outside of that, there are platforms like Airbnb that you can book an Airbnb experience. Outside of that, you can go to TripAdvisor. That's where you also be able to find our experiences. And lastly, being the social media, because they are the boosts that we have, which on Instagram, it's at ABCD Concepts, and on TikTok, it's also at ABCD Concepts. Those are some of the platforms that, of course, people that can reach us.
I hope you're going to have some Cape Talk listeners doing exactly that. Buntu Matole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to meet you, the co-founder of ABCD Travel.